I rarely encounter anyone who's seen a single film from Africa. Not even one. Or they don't even know the names of any. When I watch, at least the African cinema that I've been exposed to, it feels like the stories they have to tell and the ways in which they tell them are so different from what we're used to here. They can show us that we have not fully explored the possibilities of cinema.
Yeah, I mean, depends on. There are different kind of cultures of cinema. For instance, there is all these Sembene Ousmane or Abderrahman Sissako or Haile Gerima, for instance, the Ethiopian filmmaker, the father of Ethiopian cinema. Mm-hmm. You know, in the 60s, the problematics were more around post-colonial times and independence. A lot of interesting films were shot in that basis, like now what, political terms, how we're going to do, and there was a lot of hope. Yeah. And now I think the change comes from another different perspective, which is like, the future, the new ways of life. All the trust of the globalized world goes to Africa, and somehow people have to survive and make the things theirs.
Yeah, actually, you're reminding me that my first day in Addis, I was traveling with my friends Ted and Melissa, and just in the alleys leading in all directions from where we were staying were just like small mountains of trash, and people just walked by them. They just didn't know what to do with them, but they were so they almost looked like works of art because they were so exaggerated.
I mean, how you cope with this, all this amount of objects that are coming with a certain function, but they're clashing very fast with functions that have been there for 300 or 400, 500 years.
So is this one of the reasons that you began to imagine, just all this pop culture stuff, junk, whatever, winding up in Ethiopia and almost revered as religious relics?
Totally, because actually you don't know what to do with all the trust that is coming. There is no way of, they cannot be absorbed. They cannot be integrated so fast. And of course, the things that are pumping up there are the cheapest things because people don't have money to buy good things, And it's very sad because we are not globalizing beautiful knowledge. It makes me reflect a lot, Like what kind of things are coming here? What kind of culture are they creating? What kind of distortions? But at the same time, they have to cope with that. They have to continue living. They have to invent, create meanings and uses for all this trash and this. So it's a recycling culture, Like the phenomenon in what was happening in Hollywood, the people who were selling home appliances like vacuum cleaners and everything, they start to sell the films, make films to sell more because they were so cheap to produce and so funny that the people start to give that as a gift. If you come to my shop and buy this washing machine, I will give you my film. And they,
That's incredible. Yeah. And now aren't they the second largest film industry in the world nationally?
In terms of films productions, yes. Mm-hmm. And then there is another phenomenon which is like the grassroots cinema in Africa. I don't know whether you have seen these Wakaliwood films, which is happening now in Uganda, Kung Fu films in Uganda.
Kung fu
They are
films?
very funny, very incredible, and it's like so this is more like a grassroots underground films that is basically bad copies of Hollywood film, but precisely because are so bad copies, they start to get something very original there, which is kind of the culture of recycling. There's recycling cliches, recycling structures to make it yourself. It's kind of, sometimes I feel it like the beginning of cinema, because people don't know the rules, so they have to create the rules again, and the imagination and everything. A little bit naive, but at the same time, sometimes interesting. That's why the industry of cinema was working so good in Ethiopia. The creation of a community where the people have voice.
When did you first, or why did you first start traveling in Ethiopia? And when did you first think that you would film there?
It was in 2008 because I went there to work for the embassy. I was working for the embassy, but doing my underground films. And I went there I just have this job that allowed me to discover the country, I don't know, and see how people live and discover magical things and legendary things.
I wanted to ask you about your experiences in Danakil, filming there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's such an extreme place that not many people here, at least, are even aware of.
You've been there, right?
Yes, yeah, I filmed there for my own documentary I'm finishing now.
It's very tough. It's like, as you know, it's like 40 degrees minimum during the day, and at night you have to sleep still 37 or 38. So I had a friend that I want to start the film there because it's really, I don't know, it really feels like the end of the world. There is still certain poetry in places that human is not able to conquer. And that, I think, if you've been to Dalol, you know what I'm saying. Like you feel like vulnerable, and you feel like a small thing, because if your car crashes, you're gonna be fucked, or you run out of water in probably 2 hours, or 3 hours, you're dead, and things like that.
Yeah.
I think we somehow needed that experience of being small, of being powerless.
Yeah.
To realize, I don't know, to cope with the universe or nature, and say I'm not God.
What are you working on next?
Okay. So I'm finishing a film called Jesus Shows You the Way to the Highway. It's a film shot between Ethiopia, Latvia, Spain, and Estonia. And it's more like about because I wanted to do something international where Ethiopia is not just, it's included kind of within an international spy plot, and very underground.
The next Afro-futuristic sci-fi adventure is coming.
For me, science fiction is how you exaggerate this world and it's not more. It's how to find the tendencies that are happening right now, and how distorted can be when you change the context and the circumstances.